Now, as we continue with our NBA draft series here on the Charts, there's a lot of players vying for that number one pick. Because in this draft, I really see that there are, like I said in previous videos, that there are 2 or 3 NBA players, prospects I should say, that really could vie for that number one pick this coming draft. Now, the reason why this is very interesting is because not only due to the fact that the NCAA tournament was canceled, not to the fact that, we don't know when the combines or if the NBA will return, there's big questions going to be answered as we keep looking through the coming months. But like I said, a player that I'm going to be talking about here on today's video on the draft series is someone that has probably the best potential, but also could be the biggest bust in the NBA. Now, the next player that we're going to be talking about, like I said, is going to be James Wiseman. If we don't know who James Wiseman is, he is a power forward center from the University of Memphis, where Coach Penny Hardaway, was his AAU coach back in his high school days, came to Memphis, recruited him. There's a lot of things to really look at when it comes to James Wiseman. And the thing that you notice about James Wiseman, just in the 3 games that you watched that he played, is that he is a tremendous athlete, and he is a guy that has NBA size and length to him and even has a 9'5" standing reach. Now, when we talk about those numbers, as I, messed around with my notes here, when we look at James Wiseman, he just screams that he could be an NBA player. At worst, he could probably be a DeAndre Jordan at worst. And even then, that's not even that bad. A DeAndre Jordan in his LA Clippers days was a very big force to be reckoned with. But like I said, as we continue to look at James Wiseman even closer, there might be some signs where he could potentially be better than that and potentially be an NBA superstar and maybe a potential Hall of Famer as we continue to look at these numbers. Now, in the 3 games that he played, he averaged about 20 points per game, 19.7 to be precise, 10.7 rebounds, so around 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks. Now, the reason why he got ineligible is just due to some money issues, and that's not really important because the most important thing about James Wiseman is figuring out where he fits in the NBA and what he's doing to really, what is he doing to replace not playing NCAA college basketball? Just working out and doing that stuff is great and all, but I really thought that after he got ruled ineligible, I think he should have done what LaMelo Ball did, what RJ Hampton did, and really go to the Australian Basketball League or a different basketball league and really work on his skills. The reason why I say this is because when you look at James Wiseman, he is a guy that really needs NBA minutes or just to play against competition. Although working out is great and working on your skills is even better, especially, with him trying to be more of a stretch big in this league, I still think that playing against competition is probably the best way that someone gets better. And the fact that he didn't do that this season kind of is alarming, but also kind of really, I would say, it sucks because I think that he could have done a really good job, but it's just depending on if he was able to play in a league. And, looking at all the stuff now, let's look at all this stuff. Like I said before, NBA body, size and length, this kid has amazing athletic ability, and I think it rivals, I believe, Anthony Edwards in terms of who's going to be the best NBA athlete in this draft. And James Wiseman has that chance to be that guy just because of how nimble and quick he moves, even for a 7'1" player. He doesn't move like an awkward giraffe. He moves, his moves are solid. He's not slow. He's not, awkward footed. He's a guy that really moves up and down the court very well. And that's the reason why I think that he could potentially be, like I said, a very NBA Hall of Famer, superstar potential written all over it. Now, the thing that, like I said, is his versatility also works with him as well. As a guy that shoots the ball, he shot 80% from 2-point land, and obviously those are probably inside, dunks and all that stuff. But he's also a player that could stretch the floor. Not saying that he's going to stretch the floor to the 3-point yet, but he's still working on that, and that's something that is also a big question mark on him as well. Although he can, shoot outside the paint a little bit, I still think that being able to shoot a little bit further, 3-point, is going to help him a lot more because as he continues to work on that, he's going to have to learn that, attacking the basket isn't always what's going to be a viable option for him. And if he's able to stretch the floor even a little bit, then it could really help the team and really, space out the court. Because now then you don't have to compact the paint when it comes to James Wiseman. You can really spread the court out and he can go and attack, or he can shoot, or he can do a lot of different things. Now, when it comes to James Wiseman, we also have to talk about the things that really go against him. And one of the things that really goes against him is the fact that he wants to block every shot. Averaging 3 blocks a game, obviously in the 3 games that he played, he is a guy that tries to go for each and every shot block because as a 7'1" guy, being tall, you really want to block someone's shot so you can really, intimidate them, show your presence. But to me, when I really look at everything, being able to not, having a 9'5" standing reach, you shouldn't be trying to block anybody's shot. You should just be trying to stand straight up. And I know that, like I said, blocking shots is a very intimidating process. It's supposed to, be a hype thing. It's supposed to really, amplify your game up. But at the same time, like I said, having a 9'5" standing reach, there's no reason. If you just stand straight up and you can just block it just going here, then it's not like you're going to be in a situation where it's like, okay, I'm going to be in foul trouble, because James Wiseman has been in foul trouble this season when he played in the last 3 games that he played. When it comes to the NBA, you're allowed, the amount of fouls you're allowed. But at the same time, if you are overdoing it by fouling him, you have 2 quick fouls in the first quarter, you're done for probably the rest of the quarter until the second quarter. Like, that to me is something James Wiseman has to really look at himself in the mirror and realize, okay, I can block shots, but I just can't block every single shot, because if I try and do that, then I'm going to really hurt myself and I'm going to hurt the team when I'm off the court and not being able to really get better each and every time I'm on the court. And in the NBA, as you continue to play games, that's how I see people continuing to get better. So seeing that James Wiseman is in foul trouble early and often because he's undisciplined with his jumping ability in terms of blocking shots, that to me is going to be a big no-no for me when it comes to really looking at a player where I want him to be a lot better in that aspect. Because like I said, if you're on the court to really get better, then you're really not doing yourself a service. Now, another thing to really look at when it comes to a weakness for James Wiseman is going to be his lateral quickness. Just like I said for Obi Toppin in my NBA draft video that we had here on the charts, if you haven't watched it, go and check it out. The same thing applies for James Wiseman. For a guy that is so tall and so athletic, going vertically and horizontally, moving up and down the court, laterally he is so slow that, to me, a lot of guards and a lot of people are going to, especially coaches, are going to realize that, and they're going to be in pick and roll situations with him to attack him. Because if you can't move laterally, doesn't matter how long you are, doesn't matter how tall you are, if you can't keep up with a guy going this way, then you're going to really lose that battle, and guards are going to have a field day with James Wiseman. And that's something that James Wiseman needs to improve. Is something also with his defense as well, is that not only is it laterally, it's also just being in position and being not so heavy-footed. That's another thing that I've noticed a lot of these draft boards have been saying. That's something that I've noticed watching film of him. Just in the I only watched 2 games. I watched the Oregon game, and I can't remember the other game. It was SC State or something like that. There's a lot of things that, like I said, I like about him. There's also things where I'm seeing him move laterally, he's fine, but horizontally it's just not there. And that's something that he really needs to improve and work on if he wants to be a powerhouse and someone that is going to be a superstar or Hall of Famer in this league. Because like I said, coaches are going to try and, go off a pick and roll with him, and he's going to get exposed. And that's something that you don't want your center to get done, right? This is a positionless game, and not being able to have your positions covered, especially having a liability like that on the defensive end on your center, having to guard even just a small forward or a power forward that's really athletic off the rip. Like, I really see a problem with James Wiseman really, solidifying himself in this league if he can't, keep up laterally. And that's something, like I said, that he really needs to work on. And then another thing in terms of him himself is that he needs to build muscle, because right now he's getting pushed around easily when it comes to it. And that's our college players. College players are easily having their way with him when it comes to the offensive end as well. He's trying to make his move. There's some touch there. I see it, but he really needs to work on his post moves in order to get better. And strength comes along with that as well, because not being able to, back down your guy and, finding yourself not shooting closer to the paint, but shooting further away. Like I said, you're going to miss more shots and your percentage is going to go down, and that makes you a liability not only on the offensive end but also the defensive end as well, because if you're not able to keep up with the, like a guy like Jokic is backing you down, or like Karl Anthony Towns is backing you down, there's going to be a problem there for James Wiseman to keep up. And if he's not able to keep up, that's going to be a huge problem for whatever team drafts him, especially being a guy that is potentially a number 1 overall pick. That could be a big issue. And that's something that a lot of teams are going to have to look themselves in the mirror and see, is this something that we can correct? Is this something that we can do to fix his strength? Can we get him to be laterally quick? That's going to be the biggest question coming from James Wiseman as we continue to move forward looking at him. Now, along with that, just talking about his touch, it doesn't really look like he has a really, a good post touch. Like, there's some times where he's able to attack the basket. There's some times where he's able to, kind of do a little hook shot here and there, but not having different types of post moves, not having counter post moves. It's something that, you can rely on those things so much. And especially, as a guy that's 7 foot and can't shoot 3-pointers, like, you need to be able to have at least a post move, especially if you want to stretch the floor. You want to be an all-around triple threat, especially trying to be the number 1 overall pick. If you don't have the ability to stretch the floor, if you don't have the ability to attack the rim with different post moves, having a counter to each and every post move, then to me, you're not going to be a player that is going to be a number 1 or number 2 or even third or fourth option on a team, you're going to be last on the list. You're going to be just basically getting alley-oop dunks. Like, that's going to be your gimmick. But I think James Wiseman is too good and too skilled, I believe, when it comes to finishing and having the ability to just be a leaper, to just be just a dunk guy and to just be there on an alley-oop catch. Like, I think he has the potential to be a lot better. It's just about like developing those skills and developing those attributes as he continues to move forward in his career. And that's something that I want to see his team really work on is, okay, now that you have the athletic ability going up and down the court and also up and down, you know, the rim, like being a high flyer, being above the rim, that's where you attack the most. You also need to have the ability to finish around the rim, you know, having a Kareem dream shake, like having different up and under moves. Like, there's a lot of things that you could really work on, and James Wiseman really needs to work on that, especially now that he's not playing in a league. You know, and he hasn't played in the league for a while, and he hasn't really, you know, he's only done workouts, I believe. I don't think he's played in the league. You know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. But, you know, not having that ability to go against other players is really going to be something that harms him as we continue to look forward to him in the NBA draft combine. Like, he's a kid that I think needs to be in the combine and really play. Like, unless he's like, all right, you know, I'm satisfied being a top 3 pick. But I think this is going to be an NBA combine where a lot of players are going to go to and a lot of players are going to try and vie for it. Because like I said, there's no clear number 1 guy. Every team has a chance to draft a different guy at number 1. And there's not like a number 1 guy that fits all. There's not a fit all type of player on this team. Or in this draft, I should say. So it's really important for these teams and these players to go to the combine to show what they got. And we're going to see what James Wiseman came up with as he continued to work out after being dismissed from the University of Memphis. And overall, he's the biggest X factor to me in this whole draft. I think looking at all of his stats, looking at all of the things that are negative about him, the positives that you can say about him, like I said, he's going to be a team player. He's a guy that really is a high leaper, a guy that rebounds the ball really well. The only defensively, it's just the lateral quickness. It's the ability to really, you know, not be so heavy-footed when it comes to, you know, defending guards. That's going to be the interesting question that we're going to find out about James Wiseman. Is he going to be a number 1 overall pick, or is he going to be a guy that slides down the draft due to those defensive liabilities? Like I said, this is going to be an interesting draft, as we know that there are a lot of players that are trying to vie for that number 1 option, and number 1 pick, I should say, and even trying to be that number 1 option, because this isn't a draft where I'm like, yes, this guy is a, how would I say, like a LeBron James, a Kevin Durant. Like, there is not one of those guys in this draft. It could be Wiseman. Like I said, you know, I said he might have a chance to be a Hall of Famer, so obviously he must have something of those qualities, but it's all about developing those skill traits. It's all about developing those skills, and that's something that we're going to be finding out here in this draft and in this NBA Combine, what we think of James Wiseman moving forward. But I want to ask you guys your opinion on James Wiseman. Is he a guy that you could see being a future NBA superstar or Hall of Famer? Is he a guy that you could see being a very solid player on the team? I'd love to know your guys' comments and opinions in the comment section down below. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie here on The Charge, giving you more of these draft series videos. Remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit that subscribe button if you find this content interesting, and I want to talk about more stuff NBA related. So if you have something that you want to talk about or you want me to talk about in a video, put it down in the comment section down below, and I will try and see, you know, how I can fit that into my schedule. But anyway, guys, enough of me talking. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.